Welcome to Rambam in Depth. Today we'll be discussing the Rambam, Hilchos Meilah, Perek Aleph, Halacha Gimel. Here the Rambam is discussing the prohibition of Meilah, that is, unauthorized usage of property that belongs to the Beis Hamikdash, whether it's something that is brought on the Mizbeach, a Karban, or anything that belongs to the Beis Hamikdash, called Bedek Habayis, things that are used for the upkeep of the Beis Hamikdash. And if anyone deliberately benefits from the Beis Hamikdash, then the Rambam writes, Kol hamayil bizadein Lokeh, he has to get lashes for violating the prohibition of benefiting from the Beis Hamikdash, which is called Meilah. Umeshalem mashapagam min hegdish bereisha, and he also has to pay the depreciation or the loss of whatever money from the property of the Beis Hamikdash has to be paid. So he has to do both. He has two penalties here. He gets malchus, and also he has to pay. So the question is asked by many of the Mefarshim. There's a principle in halacha that the Rambam himself brings with regard to eating truma, that ein Lokeh Umeshalem, that you don't get lashes and pay for the same crime. The Gemara in Makis of Dalet Amud Beis derives it from a pasuk that says, Kedei Rishasa, you punish him for his wickedness, and it uses the singular, which teaches you we only give a punishment, one punishment, not two punishments for the same thing. So the question was asked to Rabbi Shmuel Avuha, Dvar Shmuel, and his answer, one of his answers, is that there's a difference between knas and mamein. When you're paying compensation, you don't get lashes and you have to pay compensation, one or the other. And however, when you're paying a knas, a fine, a penalty, that's different. There we don't say Lokeh Umeshalem, that you can't get lashes and also pay. And he says when you take something from Hegdish, you're not paying compensation because there's no owner. Compensation only applies when there's a bailim. When you steal something from someone who's the owner of that object, then you can compensate, replenish whatever that person, the owner, lost. Over here, there's no owner. It's the property of the Beis Hamikdash. The Or Sameach gives another answer. He says, this halacha that we learn from the words, Hikahu lefanav kedei rishasa, you give him lashes according to his wickedness, then only one wickedness you could obligate him, but not two. In other words, you can't give him two penalties for the same thing. So he says that's true when the penalty of paying money and the malchus are two separate obligations. You can't get lashes and then also have to pay. Like a person who eats truma. Why does he have to pay? Because it's a damage. He took something away from the kohanim. The malchus, why does he get lashes? It has nothing to do with the loss, because even if you eat your own truma, it belongs to you, you inherited it, so there's no actual loss, but nevertheless you also have violated the prohibition of eating truma, and you get lashes for that. So you don't get both lashes and a penalty. But by eating hegdish, the payment and the malchus are for the same thing. You benefited from something that belongs to Hashem. It's risha achas. It's only one sin. So the Or Sameach explains what's the reason why you can get lashes and pay, because the Torah says when two sins coincide, you can only get punished for one and not for both. That's true in the case of eating truma. There are two separate things. There's the sin of taking something that doesn't belong to you, for which you have to pay, and then there's the sin of eating something that the Torah says is forbidden. So in a case like that, they can only get you for one of those sins. Masha'en Kain, by contrast, over here, by Meilah, it's the same thing. You benefited from something that belongs to Hashem. And therefore, in this case, you can get Lokeh Umeshalem. Although the Svara could be argued the opposite, but this is his Svara. The Sefer Imre Moshe gives another answer. He proves that you're going to be Meilah, you're violating the law of Meilah, when you do it intentionally, just by taking it out of the rishus of Hegdish, even without benefiting from it in any way. And then there's the benefiting. So there are two separate sins that you did over here. So this is almost like an opposite explanation. And since there were two totally separate sins, You could get lashes for one sin, for taking it out, and you pay for the other sin of benefiting from Hegdish. And the Rambam, it fits into the words of the Rambam, because the Rambam says, Kol hamoil bezadin, Lokeh, Umeshalem mashapagam, that he gets lashes and he only pays what he devaluated, what he took away from, benefited from something that doesn't belong to him. So the lashes comes for one thing and the payment comes for a totally separate thing. It's like the person that does two separate sins, he gets the lashes and the penalty as well.